Stop setting goals. Build systems instead. Every January, millions of people perform the same ritual. They decide that this year will be different. Lose 20 pounds, read 30 books, save $10,000, build a business, learn a language, get promoted, write a book. The goals are written down carefully. Sometimes they're turned into spreadsheets. Sometimes they become wallpaper on a phone. And for a few days, something genuinely changes. People wake up earlier, they go to the gym, they stop ordering takeout, they study, they save, they work. Then February arrives, the gym gets quieter, the language app stops sending encouraging notifications and starts sending increasingly desperate ones. The spreadsheet hasn't been opened in 2 weeks, and the goal that felt exciting on January 1st begins to feel like evidence of another failure. So we make the obvious diagnosis: I wasn't motivated enough. Maybe. But there's another possibility. What if the problem wasn't your motivation? What if the problem was that you created a destination without building a machine capable of getting you there? Because goals can tell you where you want to go, but they don't necessarily tell you what to do on Tuesday morning. And Tuesday morning is where most goals are won or lost. Let's start with something that sounds almost ridiculous. Winners and losers often have exactly the same goals. Every athlete entering an Olympic final wants to win. Every candidate interviewing for a position wants the job. Most entrepreneurs starting companies want them to succeed. Students sitting the same exam generally want good grades. The goal doesn't explain who wins. It can't. Everyone wanted the result. James Clear makes this point in Atomic Habits, and it's deceptively important. We often explain success backward. Someone loses 50 pounds. We ask, what was your goal? Someone builds a successful company. What goal did you set? Someone writes a novel. What was your goal? But knowing the destination tells us surprisingly little about the journey. Imagine two people standing in New York who both want to reach Los Angeles. They have identical goals. One buys a plane ticket. The other begins walking east. The destination is not the differentiator. The system is. And yet we spend an extraordinary amount of time thinking about destinations. There's a reason goals are so attractive. They feel productive. Writing, I will save $20,000 this year, creates a sense of clarity. You can see the finish line. You can imagine the result. There's emotional energy in that. For a moment, your future feels organized. But there's a subtle danger here. Imagining progress can feel a little like making progress. You create the plan, buy the notebook, download the app, make the vision board, watch 3 videos about the perfect morning routine. Now you're energized. Except your actual behavior hasn't changed yet. This is one reason planning can become a sophisticated form of procrastination. Planning is useful, but planning and doing are different activities. A goal says, read 24 books this year. A system asks, when exactly do you read? A goal says, lose 20 pounds. A system asks, what do you eat when you're tired on Wednesday night and don't feel like cooking? A goal says, build a YouTube channel. A system asks, what happens every Monday morning? That's where the real work lives, not in the aspiration, in the repeatable behavior. Imagine a basketball team that's losing. At halftime, the coach walks into the locker room and says, guys, I figured out the problem. Everyone listens. We need more points. Technically, he's correct. The scoreboard clearly shows the problem, but nobody has learned anything. The players don't need a more ambitious score. They need to change how they're playing, defense, shot selection, spacing, turnovers, possessions. The scoreboard is useful because it tells you whether the system is working, but staring at it doesn't improve the system. Goals work in much the same way. Revenue is a scoreboard, body weight is a scoreboard, subscribers are a scoreboard, grades are a scoreboard, savings are a scoreboard. They're useful, sometimes extremely useful, but they're usually lagging indicators. They tell you the result of behavior that has already happened. And that creates one of the biggest mistakes in productivity. We spend too much time trying to control the scoreboard and not enough time controlling the plays. Suppose your goal is to get 100,000 subscribers. Can you control that? Not completely. You can make videos, you can improve titles, you can study thumbnails, you can become a better storyteller, you can publish consistently, you can listen to your audience. but you cannot reach through the screen and force someone to click subscribe. The outcome belongs partly to other people. This distinction appears everywhere. You can't completely control whether you get promoted. You can control the quality of your work, the skills you develop, and the conversations you initiate. You can't completely control your investment returns. You can control how much you save, what you buy, your costs, and how recklessly you behave. You can't control exactly how quickly you learn a language. You can control whether you study for 30 minutes today. Goals often live in a world of partial control. Systems live much closer to the things you can actually do. That's psychologically important, because when your daily definition of success depends on an outcome you don't control, motivation becomes fragile. But when success means, I completed the process today, you can win even before the result arrives. Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, made a distinction in how to fail at almost everything and still win big that became influential in productivity circles. He argued for systems over goals. His reasoning was provocative. A goal, in his framing, puts you in a state of failure until the moment you achieve it. If your goal is to lose 20 pounds, you're technically short of the goal for weeks or months. Then you reach it, you celebrate. And now what? The goal has disappeared. A system behaves differently. If your system is, I train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there is no distant finish line required for today's behavior to count. You simply execute the system. Monday arrives. You train, that's a win. Wednesday arrives. You train. Another win. Eventually, the outcome may emerge from the repetition. This isn't an argument that goals are useless. That's too simplistic. Goals can provide direction, they can help with coordination, they can define constraints, they can tell you when something is complete. The problem begins when we expect a goal to do the job of a system. A destination is not a transportation method. Let's say you decide to exercise every morning. Monday is easy, you're motivated. Tuesday, still good. Wednesday, slightly harder. Then Thursday happens, you slept badly, it's raining, you have an early meeting, the bed is warm, and suddenly your ambitious future self is negotiating with a very persuasive present self. This is where systems become interesting. A weak system requires you to make the correct decision repeatedly. Should I exercise? Should I study? Should I write? Should I save? Should I avoid the phone? Every decision is another opportunity to negotiate. A strong system removes some of those negotiations. The clothes are ready, the time is fixed, the location is predetermined. The first action is obvious. You don't decide whether to exercise at 6:30. 6:30 is when exercise happens. This is one reason routines can look boring from the outside. They reduce drama, and reducing drama is useful. You don't want your important behaviors to depend on winning an inspirational argument with yourself every morning. You want fewer arguments. Consider brushing your teeth. Most people don't create a motivational strategy for it. They don't watch a video titled, How I Found the Discipline to Brush My Teeth for 365 Days. They don't need an accountability group. There's usually no vision board. The behavior has become attached to a context. Wake up, bathroom, brush teeth, or before bed, bathroom, brush teeth. The interesting thing isn't that brushing your teeth is easy. The interesting thing is that the decision has mostly disappeared. That's what good systems do. They convert recurring decisions into defaults. James Clear describes a related idea through habit stacking. After an existing behavior, perform the new behavior. After I pour my morning coffee, I write for 20 minutes. After lunch, I walk for 10 minutes. After I sit at my desk, I write down the one thing that matters today. The existing routine becomes the trigger. Now you're not trying to remember an abstract intention. The environment reminds you. At this point, it's tempting to turn systems into another religion. Goals bad, systems good, case closed, except systems can fail spectacularly. You can build an extremely efficient system for doing something that doesn't matter. You can publish every day and make terrible content. You can exercise consistently with poor technique. You can answer every email within 5 minutes and accomplish nothing important. You can read 50 books a year and remember almost none of them. Consistency doesn't guarantee direction. A train can run perfectly on schedule and still be headed toward the wrong city. This is why goals still matter. The goal provides direction. The system provides movement. You need both. The mistake is confusing their jobs. Use goals to decide where, use systems to decide how, then spend most of your daily attention on the system. This connects with an idea from The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. They ask a useful, focusing question. What is the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? Applied to systems, that question becomes powerful. Suppose you want to write a book. You could create an elaborate system involving research software, productivity apps, writing retreats, elaborate outlines, and color-coded calendars. Or you could start with, write 500 words every weekday before checking email. That's not a complete writing system, but it may be the highest leverage part. If you actually do it, after 200 weekdays, you've produced 100,000 words. The arithmetic is boring. That's exactly the point. Good systems often look unimpressive on individual days. Their power appears in accumulation. This is also the central intuition behind Jeff Olson's The Slight Edge. Small actions can be easy to do and easy not to do. Read 10 pages, save a little money, take a walk, practice a skill, write 1 page. None transforms your life today. That's why skipping them feels harmless. If missing 1 workout immediately caused you to lose all your fitness, nobody would miss workouts. If eating 1 unhealthy meal immediately changed your body dramatically, behavior would be easy to regulate. But consequences are delayed, so are benefits. Systems solve part of this problem by shifting the reward. Instead of asking, did I achieve the outcome? Ask, did I execute the system? The result may take 6 months. The system can give you feedback. Tonight. So how do you actually create one? Start with the goal. Yes, the goal. Let's say, I want to read 24 books this year. Fine. Now stop staring at 24. Work backward. And 24 books is roughly 2 per month. Suppose an average book takes you 6 hours to read. That's around 12 hours per month, roughly 3 hours per week. Now the goal begins transforming into behavior. Maybe your system becomes read for 30 minutes every weekday before bed. Now ask, what could break this? Phone, late nights, forgetting the book, being too tired. So redesign the environment. Book goes on the pillow in the morning. Phone charges outside the bedroom. 30 minutes becomes the default. Now we're getting somewhere. Notice what happened. We moved from read 24 books to at 10 p.m. the book is waiting on my pillow and my phone is outside the room. One is an ambition, the other is an environment. Behavior happens inside environments. This is where many systems collapse. We design them for our best selves. 1 hour of exercise, 2 hours of studying, write 2,000 words, meditate 30 minutes, cook every meal, read 50 pages, then real life arrives. You travel, someone gets sick, work explodes, you sleep badly. And because the full system becomes impossible, you do nothing. A robust system needs a minimum viable version. If the normal workout is 45 minutes, the bad day version might be 10. If the normal writing session is 500 words, the bad day version might be 100. If the normal reading session is 30 minutes, the bad day version might be 5 pages. The reduced version isn't supposed to produce extraordinary results. Its purpose is to preserve continuity, because 1 missed day is usually irrelevant. What becomes dangerous is when 1 missed day quietly becomes a new system. There's another useful shift. Measure what you can control. Instead of only tracking weight lost, track workouts completed. Instead of only money earned, track sales calls made, proposals sent, hours spent building valuable skills. Instead of only subscribers, track videos published, thumbnails tested, scripts completed. Instead of books read, track minutes spent reading. This doesn't mean ignoring outcomes. You still check the scoreboard, but you check it periodically to evaluate the system. If you're executing the process consistently and the result isn't improving, don't simply work harder. Change the system. That's what feedback is for. A system isn't a prison, it's an experiment. Run it, observe, adjust. Maybe mornings don't work for you, fine. Try evenings. Maybe 60-minute focus blocks collapse after 3 days. Try 30. Maybe exercising 6 days a week makes you hate exercise. Try 3. The purpose isn't to obey the system. The purpose is to build a system that reliably produces useful behavior. There's a subtle but important difference. People sometimes abandon systems because they believe failing to follow one means they lack discipline. But sometimes the system is simply badly designed. A bridge that collapses under normal traffic doesn't need more motivated cars. It needs better engineering. Your routines deserve the same skepticism. Eventually, this is what a good system gives you. A Tuesday morning arrives. You don't feel particularly inspired. Nothing dramatic has happened. You aren't imagining your future transformation. You aren't watching motivational videos. You simply know what happens next. Coffee, desk, phone away, document open, 500 words, or shoes on, outside, 30-minute walk, or paycheck arrives, automatic transfer, savings. The behavior becomes ordinary, and ordinary is underrated because extraordinary outcomes are often built from behaviors that look painfully ordinary while they're happening. One workout doesn't look impressive, one page doesn't look impressive, one saved dollar doesn't look impressive, one focused hour doesn't look impressive. But systems don't depend on one day looking impressive, they depend on tomorrow resembling today, and then doing it again. So maybe the problem with goals isn't that we set them, it's that we stare at them. We put the finish line on the wall and expect it to pull us forward, but the finish line has never done the running. You have. Goals can tell you what matters. Keep them. Write them down if that helps. Make them ambitious if ambition gives you direction. Then ask the more important question: what would have to happen repeatedly for this outcome to become likely? Turn the answer into behavior. Give it a time. Give it a place. Remove unnecessary decisions. Make the environment support it. Create a version that survives bad days. Measure whether you're actually doing it. And occasionally, look back at the goal to see whether your system is taking you in the right direction. Then return your attention to today, because your life isn't experienced at the finish line, it's experienced in ordinary mornings, ordinary afternoons, ordinary Tuesdays. And those ordinary days are where systems live. A goal gives you something to reach. A system gives you something to do. And in the long run, what you repeatedly do tends to matter much more than what you repeatedly intend to achieve.